With all the furore of Samsung's shiny and expensive new Galaxy S24 flagship phones, it was rather easy to miss the considerably more affordable Galaxy phones which trickled out at the same time. And if you don't happen to have a grand or so to spunk on your new blower, well, another option is the Samsung Galaxy A15 5G, with a significantly smaller £199 price tag. But despite that smaller cost, you've actually got several advantages over the Galaxy S24 flagship phone. Stuff like expandable storage, an actual headphone jack, and a bigger battery. But enough banging on, let's whip the Galaxy A15 5G on out the box, take you on a full-on tour, test the gaming chops, the camera tech, all that good stuff. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke, subscribe, and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So first up, what do you get in that box, besides one Galaxy A15 5G? Well, as usual with Samsung, the answer is bugger all. You've got a pokey pin to get your SIM in there, a thrilling bit of quick start guide action, and a USB cable, and that is it. You will have to provide your own power adapter, as usual. So that was jolly good fun. Now let's actually check out the Galaxy A15 5G. So no real shocks or surprises when it comes to the design. Looks rather similar to other recent Samsung budget-friendly blowers. It's actually roughly the same size as the fresh new Galaxy S24 Plus, despite the fact that the A15 has a smaller 6.5-inch screen. And the reason for that is, as you can see, far chunkier bezels surrounding that panel, especially down below, a proper bit of Jimmy Hill action. And as you can see up top, we've got a proper throwback here with a bit of nipple notch action. And naturally, the materials here on the A15 5G aren't quite as premium as those S24 flagships. It is placky through and through, plastic edges as well as a placky arse. Although I've got to say, at 200 grams, the Galaxy A15 has a decent heft to it. It doesn't feel like a toy. And you can grab this Galaxy in a couple of different colours online. This yellow model is so dazzling that my camera actually lost the plot and completely gave up trying to focus. When it catches the light, as you can see there, it kind of morphs into a bluey, greeny, I don't know, it's a unicorn rainbow of colours. Definitely in sharp contrast to the dark grey British weather. I'll cheer you up a wee bit. You could also snaffle this bad boy in blue online, which looks rather good, and I believe the third colour is just your usual boring black. And it may be made of plastic, but the Galaxy A15 sports those familiar Samsung aesthetics, like the triple lens camera setup right here. It is a little bit iPhone-y though with its flat edges, although you do have this knobbly bit where it actually raises up for the volume rocker and the power button. And that power button actually doubles as an edge-mounted fingerprint sensor as well. Just tap your digit against it and you're straight into your desktops. Now thankfully, the Galaxy A15 5G is running Google's latest, freshest Android 14 OS. It's a slightly older Samsung launcher though, OneUI 6.0 rather than 6.1, which you'll find on the S24s. But of course, if you've used a Samsung smartphone, you'll immediately be in familiar territory here, right down to the plethora of Samsung's own services and apps. They're pretty much all here, and they're pretty much just alternative versions to Android's own services, so the likes of the Galaxy Shop for downloading apps, smart things for messing around with all your smart home goodies. You've got another virtual wallet, another internet browser, but I'll tell you what you don't appear to have here on the Galaxy A15 5G, and that's mother-loving Bixby. It appears that instead you've got the Google Assistant, which is definitely an upgrade. Admittedly not a massive upgrade, it's kind of like trading in your space hopper for a Vauxhall Vectra, but I'll certainly take it. And of course, don't expect any of those snazzy AI features that you'll find slathered all over the Galaxy S24. The likes of the chat assist and that Samsung keyboard. There's no circle to search, any of that shenanigans. You'll definitely have to upgrade if you fancy some AI. But it's pretty decent news when it comes to the storage. You've got 128 gigs of space as standard, which you'd kind of expect at this sort of budget price point. Pretty good chunk of that is available for your files and apps and other bits. But also, unlike those mega expensive S24 flagships, you can actually expand that storage using a micro SD memory card. However, the memory card will take up that second SIM slot, and there's no eSIM support here on the Galaxy A15 5G. Now, even though the Galaxy A15 5G costs a mere £199, you'll still find a 6.5-inch AMOLED display slapped on this thing. This pumps out some pleasingly crisp visuals. It's a full HD plus resolution panel, so 2340 by 1080. And I was certainly more than happy to recline on the sofa with a bit of Netflix, YouTube, whatever. Because it's an AMOLED panel, you get pretty good contrast on this thing. Nice deep blacks, pretty crisp clean whites, and lovely vibrant vivid color reproduction as well. It's especially good if you're a massive anime nerd like myself. Got good viewing angles, and let me tell you, if you boost that brightness all the way up to the maximum levels, it does a pretty good job of countering glare. So you can happily use it outdoors without your visibility being all buggered up. And the refresh rate tops off at 90Hz, but it doesn't really feel like a 90Hz display because, well, the performance isn't quite good enough to keep up, but more on that in a bit. Unfortunately, the situation ain't quite as good when it comes to the sound because the Galaxy A15 sports a mere mono speaker setup. Although thankfully it's still got a bit of a kick. Let's max out that volume, check it out.
So at the arse end of 2023, the internet was set ablaze, or at least lightly singed, with rumours that the Asus Zenfone 11 was worm food.
So it's pretty loud when you pump that volume all the way up, so you'll certainly still be able to hear it in quite a noisy environment. And the clarity ain't too bad either, but it is a shame you don't have a stereo speaker setup when quite a lot of budget rivals do. However, I am willing to forgive Samsung for this minor digression because it does actually have a headphone jack, an increasingly rare beast these days, so at least audiophiles can get jacked in. So now we come on to the Achilles heel, or the my everything of the Galaxy A15, and that is the performance. And you might expect the brains of this budget blower to be one of Samsung's own Exodus chipsets, but Samsung has actually slapped a MediaTek Dimensity 6100 Plus in here. And that is unfortunately and somewhat tragically backed by a meager 4 gigs of RAM, so it's no wonder that things are a bit juddery and stumbly. You'll certainly want to pull on your patient pants whenever you use this thing, because apps tend to run a little bit slow. Sometimes they can take a good few seconds to get going when you jab the icons. The camera in particular as well is very slow if you're doing a bit of night photography, doing the portrait shots. You can expect the processor to really slow things down. And if you're a benchmarking fan, well, as you can see, these scores aren't exactly gonna absolutely explode your trousers. All the same, the Galaxy A15 5G can indulge in some light gaming action if it absolutely must. Like say Call of Duty, PUBG, stuff like that will play absolutely fine, albeit on the sort of low to medium graphic settings. I had a big old blast on Call of Duty and certainly found that the frame rate stayed pretty fluid. The display is reasonably responsive. Wasn't exactly the ideal way to play, but still managed to somehow win a game. But yeah, Samsung, please, dear God, be less stingy with the memory in your next budget handset. No such wars, thankfully, when it comes to the battery life. You've got a 5,000 mAh capacity cell stuffed in here, which is bigger than the Galaxy S24 and the Galaxy S24 Plus. It actually equals the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And so for that, plus the Dimensity chipset, means you get some pretty strong returns. Should easily get a full day of play on this thing, even if you're doing a good bit of video calling, using the camera quite a bit, good bit of the Call of Duties. We're talking easily 7 or 8 hours of screen on time per charge. And that's probably just as well, because if you did find yourself running low on juice midday, well, you've only got 25 watt wired charging support here. So if you plug a cable in it for a quick 10-15 minutes, you'll find it'll make negligible difference. And naturally, of course, there's no wireless charging support here. So let's finish up this jolly wee Galaxy A15 5G unboxing with a squint at that there camera tech. And what you have here is a 50 megapixel primary shooter without optical image stabilization, sadly. And the camera app is rather familiar, certainly it will be for any Samsung fans out there. Got all the usual modes, including a portrait mode, which gives you a nice bit of bokeh action. You can tweak that like so. Got a couple other bonus bits, like a food mode and a dedicated night mode. And even a pro mode if you want to mess around with the likes of the shutter speed, the white balance. And oh yes, there's the obligatory fun mode, which is that's just so much fun. I don't know about you guys, but my trousers are absolutely saturated from all the fun. I'm having so much fun, I could just die. But anyway, don't expect wonders from this 50 meg shooter. It's okay for your everyday snaps. Can capture a reasonable looking portrait shots. In strong contrast, it doesn't completely fall on its arse, but in softer, more ambient light, you will get quite noisy, grainy results. The night mode helps out a bit, but only if you're completely still. And the Galaxy A15 5G does sport a pair of other lenses, but we're just talking a basic 5 megapixel ultra-wide angle shooter and a 2 megapixel macro snapper, which frankly just kill it with fire. And then pretty basic stuff when it comes to the video as well. You can only shoot full HD resolution footage at 30 frames per second, no 60 FPS option, certainly no 4K. So it's pretty basic stuff, but it'll do the job for your simple shareable home movies, stuff that you can just, beam off to grandma, capturing the cats at play, whatever. And the audio pickup is pretty strong on this thing as well. Don't move around as you're shooting too much though, because the stabilization, not fantastic. And then last up, housed away in that nipple notch up top, you've got a 13 megapixel selfie shooter. Again with the absolutely hilarious fun mode. And you've got the likes of the portrait smarts as well if you want to make the photo all about your glorious mug. And you can cope with a bit of contrast, but in low light you'll look pretty washed out, even if you're naturally pallid like myself. And again, when you're shooting video with the front-facing camera, you're maxing out at full HD resolution at 30 frames per second. But again, it's fine for your bit of Skyping, your Zoom and all that. Getting that audio pickup nice and strong. And there you have it, my lovelies. That in a tasty wee nutshell is the fresh new Samsung Galaxy A15 5G. And it is kind of a shame that the performance is quite as cack as it is, because otherwise it's a pretty decent budget blower. As long as you're the patient type, then you'll probably get on fairly well with the A15, especially as the battery life is excellent. You've got that gorgeous AMOLED display, headphone jack, expandable storage, all the usual advantages you get of cheaper handsets. And as I say, just under 200 Great British pounds, you can have your very own A15. It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments, especially if you've already had your SIM slapped in one of these bad boys. Let us know what you think. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you!